Woo! As everybody said, yes, this does changes everything. Let us dive in into Berserk, the long awaited chapter, Berserk 384, which been out for about a week now. So, yes, guys, we got to get into it. Make sure you hit the like, share, and subscribe. Follow the Rumble. This is your guy, Ray Hama, one versus a million. Yes, and also I'll be we'll be going over where it's originally covered by Marvelous Anime. So and shout out to Weezy. So uh, yeah, the infamous voice that a lot of people like to see, cover Berserk, along with one or two others who have covered it before, but people prefer, this guy's voice. So yeah, we'll be covering it. You know what I mean? But before that, we'll be showing some other stuff related to the geek verse. You know what I mean? Because yes, that's what this stream is as well. Not just a review, but it's the geek verse stream. Where we'll be covering a whole bunch of stuff in the geek verse. But yeah, but for this, just a video or two. Then we'll get into the main portion of the show. So yeah. So man, let's dive into this. Let's go because we got to talk about it because I have a whole bunch of thoughts just swarming that I have to get out. So yeah, let's go.
諸軍総大将官名より全蘇兵に次ぐこたびの栄えある海戦の一陣我ら祖軍が受けたまった
なんだこのバカでけえ声は。
隣の戦場だぞ。この戦で秦は滅ぶ。この戦は深く歴史に刻まれること間違いない。この大戦の口火を切る誉れ高き者は林北貴様だ。おう、
先方は。
よっしゃよっしゃ。我が名はその豪将林北。林北君、そこか。同金の敵は我こそこの壮大な戦の幕を開ける者である。死を揺るがすのは誰か。天を震わすのは誰か。沈め戦軍。戦軍突撃じゃ。将軍に続け。
さすが公将軍、そうこなくったよ。俺たちも続くぞ。突撃だ戦隊。この大戦の口火を切るのは俺たちだ。
Shout out to that gentleman right there. Hey, he got the forces down pat. Hey, he got the forces song down pat. You hear me? I'm like, yeah, and that was his rock music that he added to it. You know, with his instrumentals. Yeah, it blended just well. It just, oh man, you can just hear that roar. It just sounded battle. That it's time to go type of shit. Yeah, damn it. So shout out to him. Yes, and yeah, shout out to those whom the music belonged to. Yes, that music is does not belong to me. Yep, and if there's a problem, it shall be removed, and it will be on the Rumble. Simple as that. All right, and but yeah, let's get into man what I want to talk to you about. Excuse me. Oh man, oh there's just so much stuff, flood of stuff. Oh, your bro, just watching. Um, we're gonna be checking out a video or two, but man, oh yes, One Piece, the Elbaf arc. Yeah, we gotta cover it. Ah, shit. Oh, it's just funny, hilarious, awesome, adventurous. Just makes you just feel like that you're within the adventure. You know, um, that you're on that journey with them, type of shit. Yeah, um, yeah. It's awesome. So we're gonna cover it, and also I'll be showing it on the Rumble side for Anime Night, along with Kingdom. Yes, and I'm gonna work something out to see if it's possible if I do this one thing. Um, where it may allow me to be able to show the one of the movies of Kingdom. So I just been having a hard time finding the right links that will lead me to the embedded subtitles. So yeah, uh, for it's in Japanese. So yeah, but that man, there's some other stuff coming out, and I'm gonna get into this Boruto Blue Vortex. I'm gonna get into that to continue on from where we left off, from where they left off with in the anime series. So which is cool. Um, it's right when him and that what's that one Otsutsuki that's this within Baruto. That's when him and dude started to get along. So yeah, that and then speaking of which, we have news regarding that. Baruto Two Blue Vortex for my boy for Neverworld. Shout out to him. Yeah, and shout out to him, man. He be giving some uh, some great reviews. You know, he stays updated with you. You know, on what's going on. You know, within the anime and manga world. So he's another good one. Um, so shout out to him. So shout out to that brother. And hmm, oh yeah, there's another anime I'm watching. It's called Daemons of the Shadow Realm, and it's kind of interesting too. You know, a little bit. It's it's about this boy Yuru, in which he's part of this village. You know, he grew up in this village, and a little he didn't know that he has some kind of like special blood about him, whatever. Uh, I'm within the I just finished the first episode, so yeah, like I said, I just dived into it, and basically that's the gist of it. You know, he's a boy that's of this village, and then and as he's working, being a part of the village and everything, doing his duties and everything else, and then he ends up coming attacked, but by these people, him, having a sister who he believed was his sister, but it turned out that the people that's attacking him, and are killing some of the villagers as well. Um, that whole team is being led by a woman who also has like powers or whatever. She is his sister. So, and there was some little scheme, that was, set up by those, the head of the villagers because uh, his family, they try to run, away from the village for some reason, you know, and but the villagers and them, but the head villagers, the elders, they didn't want them to leave, so they managed to keep Yuru, whose name is spelled Yuru, Yuru. But his sister, she managed to escape and everything else, But this village is concealed by this dome like barrier that was set up. It was set up by by the elder of the village, what it seems. So yeah, and it's basically to help conceal them from the outside world. So those within the village are looking at, these choppers that's coming through, attacking their village and everything else. These soldiers and with coming with these weapons, these firearms. This is their first time ever seeing this. And but the thing is, though, they didn't slaughter uh, all other villagers. They left the children alone. So I'm like, uh, still kind of seem like I'm wicked to me, unless y'all can explain. Later on, those villagers were actually like in disguise, like some scrolls or some shit. You know, uh, like some scrolls for Marvel. You know, like that'll be the only way that you can get by with that. But otherwise, I'm like, yeah, you still kind of wicked and effed up though, even though you left the children alone. So you're in a way not totally a monster, but all right, you and your crew. But yeah, but their objective was to capture him, her brother, and she later explains to him, "Hey, that I'm your sister," and apparently she's been longing to see him. She hasn't seen him in years. So, but the sister whom he was led, uh, but his sister whom was there, caged up for some reason. It was basically his I don't know what the hell it was. It's damn near looked like on some little witchy demonic side kind of shit because the real sister, came through to the cage to basically she blast from with her power. She uses whatever kind of blast she used and blast the holes through the damn through the whole cell, through the whole little cage cell that his sister was in, or the one that was alleged to be his sister. She was taken out, boom, with that blast, along with that hole being made. Okay, through the yeah. So, and he was led to believe that was his sister this whole time, like for years. But it was a scheme set up by the elders in them to basically they kept keep him there within the village for some reason. So that lets me to believe, okay, this is one of those where there's some he's of some kind of royalty. His blood is of some kind of royalty or whatever, or some special bloodline or whatever. So I'm like, okay. Um, but it's revealed later on, towards like the end, the last quarter of it, that that's not his sister, and that the chick, with the eye patch, who blasted that little girl whom he was led to believe to be his sister, she ends up basically getting up and basically, regenerating, and healing herself, but it's like her blood and everything just turned into this like dark spirit. that could like fight back. And so, and after a while, yeah, you see that, afterwards, and the that dark spirit went back into their, the little girl's body, and now she's, like, hey, like nothing happened. So, with her being tethered to Yuru to some degree, so therefore there may be some degree of longing there, and and I'm guessing, okay, what may come is that her mission is going to be to to go after Yuru, to fight to get him back, to bring him back, even though he realized, hey, that's not his sister. Well, he don't know for sure yet. Well, yeah, yeah, he will know that that's not his sister when he sees her basically alive, and nothing happened to her after seeing her, on the ground, dead from his real sister's little key blast she did. So yeah, but yeah, and so they left. But the thing is, he ends up getting help though to fight against her forces that she brought there by these two deities called the left and the right, which are supposed to be like either deities like gods, demigods slash guardians. So, and I'm like, okay, so I see this concept. Okay, it's it's not that kind of like, unheard of, whatever. There's some bunch of similarities in there. Okay. So yeah, I can rock with it. So I'm curious to see how it goes. So, and I forgot to look up the actual creator's name for that particular anime. So yeah. And but yeah, but shout out to you guys. So yeah, let's get into. Oh yeah, forgot to mention also. To let you guys know, a heads up in advance. After we cover the breakdown of the chapter 384, we'll be also covering Marvelous Anime by the same guy. Uh, don't want to butcher his name. I'll just say Wheezy. Uh, he's also covering the predictions for 385. So yeah, it'll be him, and yeah, and so yeah, let's go and get this little news. Not that long, but let's get this news from our guy, our brother from Neverworld. Salute to him.
Huge breaking news for Bleach fans. This is something that a lot of people are going to be incredibly shocked, very much so happy, very much so excited, and also very much so like, yo, what is happening here? Because wow, oh wow, the title speaks for itself in case you can't tell. Yes, people, Bleach is back. I'm gonna say it one more time. Bleach is back. Why not? Let's do it for the three. Bleach is back, people. We have huge news, or well, essentially it's kind of based off some leaks. Somebody put some leaks out there, but we got the news about Bleach returning, and is not only returning in a small sense, because it was, I want to say, a few years back where Bleach initially was announced that it was coming back with one shot, basically a singular chapter called the Hell Arc. It was essentially going to be the beginning of a sequel to the ending of the Bleach manga. Mind you, these events take place after the events that are about to transpire in the anime, so chronologically, if you're going to be following what's about to happen, that I'm going to tell you in a second, then yeah, you kind of have to know what happens in the contents of the anime stuff that's about to happen here in July when it starts and whatnot. Yeah, Tite Kubo ain't playing because he's not just doing what he did before with, again, it was a singular story that it was meant to be continued, and we're not exactly sure of all the details yet of how this is going to go on, but essentially when we got that, it was left on a, well, what next? When are we going to get more Bleach manga? And Tite Kubo decided, you know what? Gloves are off. We're not doing any, we're not footing around, so to speak, because the news is as follows for Bleach's return. According to multiple leaks, Bleach by Tite Kubo will be returning to Weekly Shonen Jump with a Hell Arc serialization. Sakamoto Days by Yuto Suzuki will be ending in the coming weeks. Wow, yeah, maybe I neglect to say that a big series is ending in Weekly Shonen Jump as well. It'll be freeing a slot in the magazine for this new Bleach series, and while not all of the information is confirmed, Bleach by Tite Kubo will be celebrating its 25th anniversary in August 2026, also marking the 10th anniversary of the series' conclusion. Sakamoto Days by Yuto Suzuki is currently in its final fight, according to the magazine. And for starters, it's very interesting that they decided to bring Bleach back for a weekly serialization, right? I got to imagine that there's a couple of reasons. One of which being, of course, at the end of the day, if you pay attention, and if you just watched my last video, if you haven't, you should, and subscribe and hit that bell so you get updated on everything that's happening in the world of anime and manga. Like, what are you doing? Hit them buttons. Basically, Weekly Shonen Jump is the biggest platform for manga. Like, that's just facts. And it's not just like by a small margin. Everything after that is essentially a lot lower in the numbers wise. Like, you got Weekly Shonen Jump has like 1 million readers a week, and then the rest of them kind of go, trickle down to like 200-something thousand, whatnot. So putting Bleach in this spot, while Bleach doesn't need that per se because its name commands such, attention, it's Bleach. At the end of the day, it still is a very much so important piece of the puzzle to put it in Weekly Shonen Jump, on top of the fact that it'll bring in previous readers, maybe people that checked out of Weekly Shonen Jump a while back will be like, Bleach is back? We checking that out, like what's going on here? So I think it's a power play on that aspect. There's other stuff going on in the magazine, but again, make sure you follow this channel because I got another Forever news that'll be coming not far after this episode comes out. So yeah, getting a little bit of, I'm giving it to you twice, so to speak. And I ain't gonna lie, it is a bit of a shocker that it seems like Weekly Shonen Jump, to get something, they got to give something. You get Bleach back, Sakamoto Days has to go. There's a common pattern that Weekly Shonen Jump has, and I'm not sure, again, we don't know exactly how long the serialization is going to be for this Hell Arc. It doesn't have a specific time frame per se, so we don't know if it's already like what Tagashi does, where, Kubo just has the entire Bleach plan set out, or it doesn't say what type of serialization is going to be. Like, for example, when they did the, Naruto spin-off manga a while back, it was confirmed that it was going to be a shorter serialization. This one doesn't necessarily say what type of length this Bleach series is going to go on for, so it could very well be that there's 20 chapters lined up, a certain amount of volumes lined up of content, but it's still kind of radically insane that Bleach is returning to the pages of Weekly Shonen Jump. Like, this also brings hope for, down the road for the other Goliaths to return or whatnot, but we're not going to get into that. This is the Bleach moment right now.
Yeah.
I'm extremely curious what you guys think about this whole scenario. For starters, again, Sakamoto Days coming to an end, that's crazy. Like, I mean, people kind of already saw the writings on the wall for a bit now of Sakamoto Days coming to an end, but yeah, it's confirmed Sakamoto Days coming to an end. How do you guys feel about that? Bleach returning with the Hell Arc. Expectations, I'm gonna just be honest with you. I'm expecting it to be, some battles are going to probably be, dare I say, brutal, probably to a certain degree. So, this
Definitely
probably won't be for the faint at heart. If you can't, withstand some of this stuff, I don't recommend, you know what I'm saying? Although, if you love you some Bleach, if you love you some greatness, if you love you everything that you've seen that Tite Kubo has provided over the years, then this might be the time. And of course, previous Bleach fans, like, hello, like, what are you doing? Why aren't you tapping in right now? Fresh up on all your Bleach knowledge so you remember everything that is going on. And yeah, I think also Tite Kubo did this so timing wise great because, Bleach anime starts in a few weeks for the final season. That's the best promo you're ever going to get for something. Having this simultaneously, like, to say Bleach fans are going to be eating great is an understatement, because anime and manga and of course whatever news that's going to be in the midst of all that stuff, this is going to be the biggest time for Bleach fans ever. Tite Kubo knew what he was doing. He knew why he waited for this very moment. And yeah, your overall thoughts and expectations. One more time. I'm going to say one more time. Bleach is back. Let's go, people. So all I have for this one. I'm Tim. As always, people, have an awesome day. Peace in. Well, I'll say it again. Bleach is back.
Yes, sirs. Bleach is back. Ah, damn it. 3 weeks? Oh, man. Yes. And I forgot to, yes. And it's already out. Yes. My shit is already out right now. Oh, yes. House of the Dragon. Yes, we will be covering that. And if Lord willing, if able, I will try to download it, damn it, and we'll be showing it on the Rumble. Yes, sir. Oh, shit. And I only got like what, halfway maybe into that new episode. So, yeah, I'm really going to finish that one. And I'll say, with this part, I'll say, yeah, I'm kind of digging the closeness. It's slowly but surely, that this building between Corliss and I don't think his name is Adam. Yeah, his son. His son is technically, he couldn't give the house name to. So yeah, you know. So yeah, I'm kind of digging that, how they're kind of like mending that together. You know what I mean? And Corliss, expressing his um his regret to him, to his son for not being there and giving him, establishing with a house name, basically. So I dig that. But yeah, man. Oh shit. Now y'all. Shout out to our guy for Neverworld though. But yeah, shout out to him. Oh man. So yeah, so we got some shit. Some shit is out, man, and coming out. All right. Uh, and also too, I'm gonna check out that Spider-Man Noir. And I'm like, okay, is this the first time they put Nicolas Cage in a damn in in a Marvel movie or show, period? And I'm like, has he been in any of these superhero shows at all? This is his first time. I'm like, okay. So shit, it's my guy Nicolas Cage, god damn it. I'm gonna check it out and yeah, be sure to get my review of that as well. Yeah. But dudes, let's dive in. Hot damn it. Hit the like, share, subscribe, follow me. Let's just take a little deep dive into this shit here. So salute and fair use. Let's go.
Anime and
Oh, well, before we dive into it, yes, I gotta show the second video, all right, that I have prepared by our bro Weezy, which he gives his name in the title. So yeah, um, but yeah, man, shout out to him and shout out to the Marvelous Anime crew. Here we go. Check out this 10, I believe it's 10 brutal animes that he's recommending that we watch now. Like, okay, so let's go, man. I want to share this with y'all. Okay, here we go. Then promise after this, we're getting to the main.
Anime and brutal violence just kind of go together. In anime, violence can be portrayed in endlessly creative ways with very few restrictions. There are so many anime out there that don't shy away at all from portraying brutal violence, and in this
Wizard
video, we're going to
Wheezy.
be talking about 10 insanely brutal fighting anime you should definitely check out. For this video, we chose these anime for this video because they specifically and uniquely stand out because of the level of brutality and violence they portray. So what are we waiting for, folks? Let's jump right in. Baki, 2018. Sometimes, in order to relax, you just need to watch something that's completely bonkers, over the top, and overly exaggerated. If that's the case, we've got the perfect anime for you, and it's called Baki. It's about a teenager named, you guessed it, Baki, who trains to defeat his superhuman father Yujiro, also the guy responsible for murdering his wife and Baki's mom. The animation is insane, the characters are portrayed in a way that's extremely and undeniably masculine, and it's a show filled with insanely designed, bloody, and gory fight sequences. Extreme acts of violence are committed against people, and it's extremely unrealistic in terms of how characters in this show recover from that damage, because combatants receive scars, bodies are broken, faces are blown off by explosives, and the story takes a backseat to the way the violence is portrayed in this anime. If that sounds like fun to you, then you're in for a treat. Kengan Ashura, 2019. Are you a fan of Gareth Evans' Indonesian martial arts action thriller masterpieces The Raid Redemption and Raid 2? Or perhaps Scott Adkins' action-filled movies like the Undisputed film series, Avengement, and Universal Soldier 4 Day of Reckoning? Well, think about the level of violence in those films and then imagine it being exaggerated to its absolute limits. You'd probably get something pretty similar to Kengan Ashura. This show is brutal because of its fight sequences, which cross all the regular limits of media portraying violence. It features one of the bloodiest fight sequences in the history of media. I'm talking about the very famous, grotesque, and gruesome fight between Gizenga and Masaki that features in episode 12 of season 1. But let me warn you, that fight sequence is brutal. It's almost every violent act you could ever imagine. Kengan Ashura features a tournament in which the wealthy business owners settle business disputes amongst each other by letting their fighters brutally beat each other in the cruelest and most inhumane ways possible. Those wealthy business owners win their business disputes when their fighters win in the Kengan fights. With a premise this unfair and cruel, violence is a guarantee. If you're into brutal and violent anime, check this one out first and you can thank us later. Garuden, The Way of the Lone Wolf, 2024. Here we have another brutally violent anime which deals with moral complexity as well as the consequences of violence. Garuden attempts to explore what violence does to people. It's about a man with a troubled past named Juzo who's forced to participate in a deadly underground fighting tournament. In the meantime, a detective is chasing him, and there's a bounty of 3 million yen on him. As someone who's skilled in the martial art of Takamiya Ryu, he uses his skills to fight against dangerous enemies, and not just that, the show also focuses on how its protagonist battles his own internal demons as well. It's got everything you'd expect from a violent anime. Broken limbs and bones, heavy blows causing a lot of bleeding, of course, death. The fight sequences are gritty and realistic, more akin to MMA fights than something fantastic. What makes this show special is the utilization of rotoscope technology to create jaw-dropping action sequences. The makers of the show shot live-action footage, real-life martial artists doing what they do best, and use that as the foundation for an outline for their animation work. If you care about characters worth caring for and gorgeously choreographed and impeccably animated fight sequences, look no further. Shigurui Death Frenzy, 2007. Shigurui Death Frenzy is a very relaxed show when it's not violent. However, it does get violent, and when it does, it shocks the hell out of you with how brutal it can get without any limitations. That paradox makes for a very engaging and very entertaining viewing experience. Shigurui Death Frenzy is essentially about a duel to the death between two samurai swordsmen. One of them, Irako Seigen, happens to be blind, and the other, Fujiki Genosuke, has only one arm. In the past, wooden swords were used for duels, but times aren't that peaceful anymore, and that's why this time, real swords will be used. Both fighters are disciples of Iwamoto Kogen, who's known as the greatest swordsman of Japan, and both of his students are hell-bent on becoming his successor. The fight scenes are characterized by a slow and gradual build-up, filled with tension, anticipation, and suspense. The fight scenes themselves focus more on portraying samurai sword techniques. This show doesn't glamorize violence. Instead, it chooses to focus on the consequences of violent actions, making the violence in the show even more terrifying. Fist of the North Star, 1984. Popularity is easy nowadays, but what's really difficult is staying relevant in the long run. And making a show that's both memorable and popular is wildly difficult to pull off nowadays. In fact, the anime we're talking about next is from 1984, and guess what? People are still talking about it, even in the big 2026, almost 42 years later. And that's saying something. Taking inspiration from the iconic Mad Max film series, it's set in a post-apocalyptic, anarchic world in which rival gangs are constantly fighting against each other. In this anime, a nuclear war has turned Earth into a lawless wasteland. The survivors of the nuclear fallout are struggling against each other over the remaining food and water. Kenshiro, a practitioner of the deadly martial art Okudo Shinken, fights a succession of tyrannical warriors to restore justice to this lawless and anarchic world as he's accompanied by a young thief and an orphan girl. Kenshiro has the ability to destroy his opponents from within by using their hidden pressure points. This iconic anime paved the way for so many hyper-violent shows, Berserk being a prime example. It's one of the most influential anime of all time, and adding to that, you've probably heard a few iconic quotes from this show from one of your anime-obsessed friends, particularly Ome wo mo shindero. It's pretty much a blueprint for all the brutally violent anime that would follow. Afro Samurai, 2007. A brutally violent anime with characters voiced by iconic Hollywood stars like Sam Jackson and Ron Perlman? Who wouldn't be interested in that? If you're into classic and escapist revenge tales, we've got you covered with this one. Also, the violence in this anime is really brutal. It's a violent show that reflects upon the cycle of violence begetting yet more violence. Afro Samurai is a classic revenge saga about a black samurai who wants to take revenge against a man named Justice who killed his father in front of his eyes when he was just a young boy. The show is set in a futuristic and feudal Japan. We see Afro on his quest for revenge, deflecting crossbow bolts, shattering bullets, and performing lethal sword attacks. We even see him relying on his subconscious mind to create new battle techniques in the middle of a fight. This anime is iconic for how it blends elements of African-American culture with Japanese samurai culture and its impeccable hip-hop soundtrack crafted by the RZA from the Wu-Tang Clan. It utilizes over-the-top stylistic and brutal fight choreography in the best possible ways. Check this one out if you haven't seen it, you won't regret it. Berserk, 1997. If you really want to push your limits, if you really want to watch something that terrifies you to the core with its portrayal of violence, then Berserk might be the perfect show for you. It's about a mercenary leader named Guts who gets involved with a mercenary group named the Band of the Hawk and its leader, Griffith. Berserk has everything you could ask for: friendship, betrayal, vengeance, ambition, gruesome torture scenes, and more. Every violent act imaginable is shown. The anime introduces us to an anarchic world in which strength is prioritized over everything else, cruelty gets normalized, and every imaginable kind of violence runs rampant. There are some scenes that are meant to cause horror, and they succeed with flying colors. Nonetheless, it's an excellent show with extremely compelling storylines and character development. If you want to watch a well-written anime that's also extremely brutal and violent, you should go for this one. Megalobox, 2018. Megalobox is about a man who fights fixed matches in fight clubs in the restricted area. He's known by his ring name, Junk Dog. He almost gets into an accident with Yukiko Shirato, the CEO of the company Shirato Group, while riding his motorcycle in the administrative area. Junk Dog starts fighting with her bodyguard Yuri, the megaloboxing champion. Yukiko intervenes and stops their fight, but later on, Yuri fights and easily defeats Junk Dog in a fight club. After that, Yuri tells him that he can fight him again in the megaloboxing tournament, Megalonia, and for that to happen, you would have to be at the top of the Megalobox rankings in order to qualify. You would also need a citizen ID. Junk Dog's coach, Gansaku Nanbu, convinces the mob boss Fujimaki to get Junk Dog's citizenship ID approved under the name Joe. And with that, Junk Dog has just 3 months to qualify for fighting in Megalonia. The fight sequences in this show aren't just for spectacle, they also reveal the character of the protagonist, as at first, Junk Dog uses gear for his fights, but then later on he starts fighting without his gear. The fight sequences have an element of realism that's praiseworthy. Also, not all of Junk Dog's opponents are portrayed as one-dimensional villains. They're people too, willing to prove themselves just like Junk Dog. This anime explores themes of courage, hope, and overcoming the odds. Hajime no Ippo, 2000. Hajime no Ippo is about an ordinary Japanese high school student named Makunochi Ippo who spends most of his time helping his mother run the family business when he's not in school. When he is in school, though, he constantly gets bullied. One day, during a bullying incident, a boxer named Takamura comes to his rescue and saves him from the bullies. This single event completely changes his life as he starts training to become a boxer, following in the footsteps of Takamura. A lot of twists and turns in this anime make every fight feel surprising and refreshing. The realism of the boxing sequences make the show even more compelling. You should check this one out if you're hungry for inspirational stories and well-written characters. Kenichi, the Mightiest Disciple, 2006. This one's basically about a 15-year-old kid who's being bullied, named Kenichi, who, due to circumstances, decides to become a disciple of Ryo-Zanpaku, a training establishment. Kenichi trains under 6 masters of Ryo-Zanpaku as he constantly faces challenges from a street gang group, Ragnarok. Different styles of realistic martial arts like karate, Muay Thai, Jiu-Jitsu, and Chinese Kenpo are utilized. The fight sequences also serve as a foundation for conflicts between worldviews. The members of Ragnarok believe in strength more than morality. Kenichi, on the other hand, genuinely cares about protecting others and doing the morally correct thing. Also, Kenichi, unlike many other anime protagonists, doesn't inevitably and naturally possess supernatural powers. To gain expertise in various martial arts techniques, he goes through an extremely rigorous, soul-crushing, and excruciatingly painful training process on his way to becoming someone worthy of being a hero, and that journey is fascinating to watch. I'm pretty sure these recommendations will satisfy your cravings for brutal fighting anime shows. They are immensely entertaining and impeccably crafted for maximum impact. Trust us when we say this, the action lover within you will be stoked as hell. And I mean, that's all we wanted when we set out to make this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video, because that's the best way to see more stuff like it. But otherwise, we hope you enjoyed this recommendation video. We hope you have a fantastic day, and we hope to see you soon in the next one.
Wizard Weeds, bro. Before I share you guys' content, I must get on your head a little. Pause. How the hell Baki, bro, ain't as compelling? I mean, what the hell? I mean, the only story, dude, like, is awesome because it's, yes, I will give you that, though. I will give you that. Where, damn it, the masculineness is just to the extreme, damn it. Yes, I mean, well needed. Yes, where we about damn time then where we have characters who are badass, damn it. Hell, not just Bro Baki, damn it, Pop Hama, damn it, hell Yujiro. Shit, that crazy motherfucker. You know what I mean? And hell, but damn you got Rochi Dopo, fucking Retsu Kaio before they took him out. You know what I mean? A whole bunch of characters. I mean, salute them. Hey, salute to Retsukayo, even though I believe they are going to animate the Retsukayo arc and a bunch of the other arcs too. Basically, they'll keep the anime series going, but compelling and also too, like as it's basically very crazy because you know how it started out, you know how he started on his journey, you know, of reaching that point of where he's ready to face, you know, death in order to get strong, as strong as his dad. You know, it's due because of what, yeah, because of what his dad did to his mother. You know, because his dad killed his mother. Yeah, you know, and so that served gave him as a high drive motivating factor to get that to get strong. Yeah, to take out his dad. But also at the same time, you know, it shows to us, it gives us to those of us, the viewers, the fans, you know, that drive was necessary, damn it, to rise up, you know, and to be better, to try to be better than what you are, especially when you know that you could be better, and to not give up. And no matter what your goals be, to fight for it with all your might. Go charge at it like you're ready to, hey, like you're ready to face death if it comes. and an extreme masculinity within Baki. Damn it, hell, shit. You can't tell me, damn it, hey, they don't help raise man's testosterone, damn it, hell, to a high degree, damn it, where it causes your ass to want to do some push-ups. You hear me? Not saying other shows didn't, you know what I mean? Hey, like Kenichi too, that was, hey, that serves as a great, positive motivating factor for those, who wants to, help keep you motivated, you know what I mean? Hey, because it's filled with that kind of inspiration too as well, but, to inspire you to be great. But Baki, bro, you definitely got to give it more flowers than what you did. Basically, is what I'm saying, because it has a great deal of inspiration within it. Even though it was like, like you said, it's extremely exaggerated, as you want to keep saying. You said it more than once. But, dude, like, yeah, but he admitted too, there was a couple other shows he mentioned that we all know of very well. King and Asura. Even Kenichi Mighty's disciple, you might as well say that. Because with the master of that school, that dojo, shit, he done some crazy ass shit too, right along with Yujiro. And since they both shown their skills and everything thus far, and what they have done, what they're capable of, why not death battle? As I got do I got to make that to a fight comparison to? Yeah, I do. I got to post that up. Okay, I'll do that next stream. So, yeah, the master of Kenichi, master Mighty's disciple versus Yujiro. There you go, death battle. There you have it. But no, like it's nothing like, and it's greatly unique within itself. The Hanmas, the story, this story of the Hanma bloodline, which is comprised of multiple other awesome storylines with great character development with each one, especially with those from the prison arc. Even though it'll be though maybe exaggerated, but hey, but it still has its great dish of like I said, of motivating and inspiring you to be great, to aspire to be great for yourself, than where you're at right now, or in whatever it is you're doing, to help increase, these shows will help increase your motivation in those areas. That you should. Yeah, I can beat this test. Yeah, I know I can do it. I'm believing. I'm a score. Damn, I'm a score high on this test. Damn it, and I'm gonna get a A in this motherfucker. I can do 30 more push-ups, damn it, than what I just did. Shit. This motherfucker punched the ground and stopped the earthquake? Shit. I know I can do 30 more push-ups. Come now, son. So yeah, man. But shout out to my boy Wizard Weeze. All right, so yeah, shout out to him in speaking. So yeah, we're going to dive into the main part of the show now. So yeah, let's go.
All right, folks, grab your spoons, your forks, your chopsticks, my fellow strugglers, because for the next couple weeks, we are eating good. Berserk is back with 3 consecutive chapter releases in the month of June, and don't tempt us with a good time, Studio Gaga, because we might just start thinking it's the 90s again. The first of this promised 3-episode run was the long-awaited chapter 384, and it changes literally everything. The last time we saw Guts, we had some idea where his story might be going, but we had no idea it was going in this direction. Spoiler warning for everything that's coming your way in this video, because this is chapter 384, Explained. It's going to be a good one, so let's get right into it. Woohoo! The end. Memories and Guilt. The chapter is titled The Shifting Water Mirror and the Residual Flame of the Battle Flame, and we don't think there could have been a better way to describe what happens in Berserk 384. It begins with Guts opening an eye inside the lotus leaf cocoon that has submerged him within the pool inside the Kushan Stupa. A brief summary reminds us of what happened in previous chapters, and if that wasn't enough, we also see Daiba's final words in 3 panels as well. What awaited Guts was a confrontation with himself, but Guts wasn't in a confrontational mood. He was in the mood for a bit of dying because he'd reached the end of his rope. In fact, the first word he says in the longest time is end. He keeps wishing that this was the end for him because he doesn't want to live anymore. We knew he wanted to die back when Rakshas invaded the Kushan capital in chapter 378. After his Kurultai chamber ambush is thwarted, Rakshas decided to go after Guts, having sensed his presence, but when he entered Guts' cell, Guts thought he was death, and so he willingly bends his neck. But Rakshas isn't here to kill him this time. He's just trapped in a contemplative cocoon that keeps descending into the astral world in a way that's visually reminiscent of Griffith's Eclipse Rebirth and the visceral imagery of conceiving a child. So instead of repeating the word end endlessly, which he might have done considering how this chapter opened, Guts decided to do an audit on his past. He just wants to keep going back further in time, back to before he even met the band of the Falcon, because a relentless, unrepentant killer is what he's always been. We really get a sense of his deep despair when he says that everything he's done from the beginning has been wrong, and Kujimori decided to highlight the true meaning of those words by choosing Guts' finest and worst moments to sit in the background. On one hand, we've got his 100-man slaying legend, and on the other, we've got his face from the night he killed Rosine and her army of pseudo-apostles made from children. It perfectly encapsulates the 2 faces of a warrior, one that fights with purpose and honor, and the other that fights to kill. Guts thinks he's only the latter because he guilt trips himself into believing that all of the deaths that have taken place in Berserk are his fault. He thinks about Shirkei and Farnese on the ship, worrying about him. He thinks of the day the Falcons realized Guts couldn't lead them anymore. He thinks about a fainting Casca, the day he defeated Griffith and left the Falcons, a victory parade through Midland, even as far back as the day he met Skull Knight. Guts isn't just idly reminiscing here, he's actively thinking about the points in time where his presence led to the deaths of thousands. And he blames himself for being the thread that brought them to their causal ends. Of course, Guts isn't being rational here. It wasn't his fault that Griffith turned out to be, Griffith. But guilt often works that way, doesn't it? It shows up strong, unnaturally, and it makes you feel responsible for things you haven't done. Guts thinks that if he never met the Falcons, then Casca surely would have remained her old self, without even factoring in that being Falcons was what brought them together in the first place. As he continues to sink and curls up into the fetal position, Guts begins to hear muttering. At first, we can't tell what they're saying because the writing is so scrambled, and this is because Guts is actively shutting out the voices. He wants to be left alone. He doesn't want to think about anything else, but the voice breaks through and tells him to look. Guts opens his eyes because he has nothing else to do and sees a massive water spirit, many smaller spirits flanking her that look suspiciously like the flaming child spirits that swarmed Guts before his fight with Rosine. This water spirit tells Guts to look at his being, and he wonders what's happening. In this moment, he's facing the water mirror to his own soul, or rather, he's just stood in front of it. Now, he's going to get a good, hard, proper look at his life, and it's here that everything starts to change. The truth about Guts. He wasn't supposed to live. The water spirit, which remains nameless for the rest of the chapter, tells Guts it's time he knows everything about who he is, he who was born in darkness. She calls him the Dweller of the Threshold, and we can only imagine that this is a reference to the interstice. Sometimes these translations get a bit janky, but don't worry, we're on the case. She says the time has come for the struggler to know his entire being in its fullness and envelops him within her arms as his consciousness gets sucked in towards his memories. This time, things are different, however, because instead of giving us a superficial guilt trip, things get real. We see Guts learning how to fight with Gambino, Guts looking up at Shisu, Guts killing Gambino, and his hanging birth mother all on the same page. We then witness a game-changing moment. The moment that tells us why Guts has been able to do everything he's done in his life. The next page is a full spread of the tree upon which Guts' mother hung as he lay in the dirt underneath, having just been born. But here's the thing, we don't exactly see what we saw back in the Golden Age. You see, in the first chapter of the Golden Age arc, this tree shows up, and the first time we see Guts, he's a completely formed child that Shisu plucks from the ground and nurses on her breast. But then, in 384, Guts' body looks a lot like the demon child's. Tendrils for limbs, a misshapen head, a limp, a dead thing. The difference between them is that Guts didn't survive his birth. He was born prematurely with no magic to ease the way, so he died. We always thought it was odd that Guts managed to survive his mother's hanging because the timing itself was unusual. Like his mom was perfectly 9 months pregnant, ready to pop when she died. What makes more sense is that Guts actually died as a preborn baby and then was brought back to life by his mom, because that's exactly what this chapter says happened. In the next page, Guts' deformed body becomes his current body in a process that's quite similar to Griffith's incarnation, and he's told that his mother's life, or specifically her influence, is what allowed him to live. The phrase "born from the light" is what Mori's team decided to use to describe Guts' survival, and we know what light means in the context of this story. It means that he was remade from the spirit world thanks to his mother's extreme love for him. That's what the next page tells us. As baby Guts sinks into a pool, the water spirit tells Guts that he was born in the interstice, was a part of it from the beginning, and as such, he's neither human nor spirit. He's not a hybrid either. He's everything. When the spirit says this, the baby descending into the pool, presumably from the other direction, enters the cocoon and merges with Guts. The cocoon then emerges on the pool's surface, opens up, and both Guts and baby Guts inside him cry out. This is proof beyond measure that our theory about the reverse eclipse was right. Guts was meant to have a spiritual rebirth in the Kushan Stupa and become a warrior of light and good, but we didn't foresee this intricate death, birth, and rebirth symbolism being included in it. Neither did we foresee the water spirit, because daemon-like creatures were extremely low on our list of who Guts would see within the abyss. For a second, we actually thought that this water spirit might be Guts' mom, but then we reminded ourselves of the series' mechanics and settled on the spirit being an incarnation of some Kushan goddess instead. Our best guess would be that this spirit is the spirit of Ganga, the patron goddess of the river Ganges in India, and an extremely powerful force to reckon with. Ganga is one of many aspects of the Adi Shakti, aka the divine feminine, and Guts is already connected with one of those aspects. Back when he fought Daiba, the Eastern wizard kept calling him the Kshatriya of Durga, or the warrior of Durga. Durga is the warlike aspect of the divine feminine, and practitioners of Shaktism say that she is the supreme deity, not Brahma, Vishnu, or Shiva. That might have been a bit more lore than you needed, because there's always the chance that this is just some random ancient Kushan sorceress / wise woman who became an extremely powerful daemon. We know that Flora is a fiery daemon right now, so it stands to reason that the water spirit might have been someone like her, but if this is actually the goddess of Berserk, we want to say two things. Number one, Banks, and number two, her power feels too specific for her to be the omniscient being we were expecting. We'll stop nitpicking now, but it appears as though the entire purpose of locking someone inside the Kushan Stupa was to get them to meet this spirit and then taking the temperature of their resolve. If that is indeed the case, the originator of this ritual succeeded in their aim, because when Guts emerges from the cocoon, he cries out in unison with his child self. This is a sign that the two halves of himself, one that he wasn't completely aware existed, have now become one. For the first time, we know that Guts survived being born because larger forces were at work in the background, and we also know that he is basically like Griffith. Why do we say that? Well, Guts and Griffith are one and the same. Why this changes everything. After Guts and baby Guts cry out, the page zooms out to show the water spirit standing over him and saying that he's already known that him and his other half, that being Griffith, are one and the same. On this page, you see Guts writhing on the ground, and we get flashes of magical things that have changed his life. We see Chich's withering flower. We see Puck and Ivalira. We see the Eclipse facescape. We see the Behelit on Guts' side. We see Zod roaring, and a skeletal army raising its swords. All this conflicting imagery stands out because it's conflicting. It shows the dark side of things, with apostles, Behelits, and possessed bodies, but it also shows us the light side, with good spirits like Chich and Puck and Ivalira. If you thought it was weird the last two didn't disappear with Elfhelm, we thought that as well, but now we know that it was because Guts needed them, and also because Guts is basically the good equivalent of Griffith in that he's a divine entity in a mortal body. Ultimately, what we just saw in chapter 384 was confirmation that Guts, not Griffith, is the true Jesus of this story. He's endured trials that Christ could have only imagined he would face, he's braved death more times than he can count, and he has also always strived to uphold the good despite drowning in a sea of miasma. Guts' birth circumstances confirm that his survival was unnatural, proving that Skull Knight knew this about him from the first time that they met as well, and that none of his actions have been gambled on causality. Not really. If Griffith's arrival was destined, then so too was Guts's, and Guts being one and the same as Griffith isn't what you think it means. See, the moment that comparison is made, we see both of their astral bodies wreathed in spark like flames, and the outro tells us to wait for next week, but there's a fundamental difference between Guts and Griffith. Griffith became what he is by going through an intensive choice-based system where he had to sacrifice all his loyal soldiers to become a metaphysical entity and then sacrifice thousands of people to get a body of flesh. He took the evil path to becoming a vessel for godly power, and his path was acceptable to his morality. There's a reason people hate the Griffith did nothing wrong crowd, because Griffith did literally everything he could wrong, and what makes it worse is the fact that he chose to do all those things. Griffith, right now, acts as a core for the literal idea of evil, which has been reshaping the world for an endless age of darkness ever since Void came into the picture. By contrast, Guts exists purely because of his mother's love and beseeching. You have to remember that technically Griffith has never died. He came close to death 100 times in the Tower of Rebirth, we're sure, but he didn't die. Even when he became a God Hand member, he didn't die so much as his essence was broken and remade. And the incarnation ceremony and the great roar of the astral world have made that essence stronger. But Guts never lived. He came into this world a dead child, fallen out of its mother's swaying womb, and the only reason he exists is because a miracle happened. God literally granted Guts' mother's wish for her child to survive by completing Guts' development into a proper baby and then sending Shisu and Gambino his way. Of course, his path wasn't easy, far from it. In fact, Guts looking exactly like the demon child he hated so much when he himself was delivered is a visual metaphor that will live in our minds for ages to come. But the fact of the matter is, no one had to die or sacrifice themselves to make Guts an astral entity. His mother's pure love for her unborn child moved God and made God take a direct hand in mortal affairs. It's like Mary being blessed with Jesus, except Mary wished for Jesus' survival and Mary died before he lived. This is what makes Guts the true Jesus of Berserk, and while the spirit he met might not have been a goddess, he for sure is a divine entity. That explains how he survived the eclipse, the incarnation ceremony, how he killed Father Mozgus, how he annihilated the sea god. It explains everything. He's the Son of God, moving through a world filled with sin, cutting said sin down one limb at a time. And now that he's been awakened to his true nature, nothing will ever be the same again. If Guts, like Griffith, is a divine essence trapped in a mortal body, then he can technically use similar techniques to Griffith. He has the Elfhelm mages to help him learn magic after all, and Daiba can become his source for arcane knowledge. In fact, now that Guts is awake and back in the Stupa burial chamber, we suspect Daiba is the first person he'll see when he emerges from the stupa, and they'll instinctively know what to do when he does. Guts being born of light means that he's now the best chance humanity has against Griffith and his demon horde, and yes, we know this kind of goes against what Miura said about Guts not receiving disproportionate power-ups, but let's be honest, we all knew he was going to need one at some point. We're sure every Berserk fan in the world will have a lot to say about this revelation, considering we're pretty sure it comes from those discussions Kujimori had with Kentaro Miura a long time ago. There will be debates about the corruption of Berserk's original vision, there will be talk about cheap Deus Ex Machina cop-outs, there will be talk of Berserk not being what it is anymore. Those conversations might even be right. But right now, what we can say without a doubt is that this is the only logical path forward for the story, and it builds upon everything that's been laid out for us over the course of 400 plus chapters. Guts being a divine entity was even hinted at in the Eastern Exile arc when he was randomly floating in some part of the astral world and Shirkei anchored his luminous body to his physical body again. Of course, we still have to resolve the matter of the Beast of Darkness and its promise that Guts would give him everything one day, and how, in exchange, the Beast would give him his heart's desire, but that's something we think is going to be addressed in the next 2 chapters. So, for now, that's all the spoilers you're going to get out of us. Conclusion. Having said that, we hope you enjoyed our breakdown of everything that happened in Chapter 384, because that's all we got for you guys today. At least for now. Let us know your thoughts in the comments down below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more Berserk content, because there's a lot more of it coming your way. We'll see you guys real soon with yet another video, so until then, stay safe out there, and as always, keep on struggling, strugglers. The real light was in you all along.
Next, 385 predictions, then I'll give my take.
Berserk is about to truly enter its endgame. Chapter 384 might just go down as the most important chapter in Berserk history because it gives us answer we've been waiting for years to get. Turns out Guts really is a miracle kid, and this is really his story and nobody else's. Confronting oneself is the hardest thing we can do when we've lost hope, but Guts has at least started that process and is now well underway to transforming himself. But Chapter 384 also ended on a bit of a cliffhanger, so what's going to happen next? Well, that's exactly why we're making this video, so without further ado, let's dive into our predictions for Chapter 385. The Great Awakening. The first thing that's going to happen in Chapter 385, assuming it's a direct continuation of 384, is the continued examination of Guts' changing state of mind. Ever since Elfhelm was destroyed and Casca was kidnapped, Guts has been in the depths of despair. He became so unhappy with his life and the choices he's made that he meekly submitted to capture when the Kushan boarded Roderick's seahorse, and he meekly submitted to death when Rakshas came to kill him. Even his journey to the Kushan Stupa was uncomfortable to watch because we'd never seen Guts that passive before. He was allowing himself to be led through streets, game tracks, and forest paths to a secluded area that might as well have been an execution chamber, and he just didn't care about what could have happened to him. Even at the beginning of Chapter 384, Guts' sole thought was that he wanted to die. He was floundering in the abyss of sadness, thinking of all the great failures of his life, like when he left the Falcons, when he joined the Falcons, hell, even the night he survived his adoptive father attacking him unprovoked. He made himself the common factor between all the ills that had befallen the people he'd known and loved, especially Casca. Guts thinks that if he didn't join Griffith, then Casca would have been okay, but of course, that's not true. Regardless of whether or not Guts became Griffith's undisclosed bestie, what happened to Casca was ordained by causality and would have happened if Griffith kept on the path that he was taking at the time. What eventually breaks Guts out of this self-hate spiral is the water spirit that dwells within the pool within the stupa, because she forced him out of that spiral to confront the truths of his life. This is when we learn that Guts actually died after his mother's hanging body pushed him out of her womb. It was her wish from the afterlife that turned him into the child that Shisu and Gambino picked up at the beginning of the Golden Age, so technically, Guts has never really been fully human. He has a human body, but his essence, his soul if you will, was a miracle given to him by the god of Berserk. And when we say god, we don't mean the idea of evil, because an evil god would never grant a wish as pure as a mother begging mercy for her child. Plus, you know, the idea of evil really likes sacrificial offerings before bestowing gifts upon its followers. It's this truth about Guts' existential form that makes him so unique, because he's always been capable of doing things that ordinary people just can't. For example, his interactions with Chich the Flower Spirit are now completely recontextualized. Initially, we thought it was possible because of Guts' near-death experience experience, his lack of belief in organized religion, and the high fever he was running at the time. Now we think it's because he's always had the ability to perceive astral entities because he himself is part astral. The only difference is that before the stupa, he didn't know it, and now he does. The ending of 384 says that Guts is exactly like Griffith because both of them have a divine existence that resides within a mortal shell, and that's the Great Awakening we're referring to in this section. Right now, we're questioning everything about our protagonist because if it's true that he's exactly like Griffith on an existential level, then does that mean he can alter the elements themselves? Does Guts even need weapons to fight if he can command the wind or allow arrows to pass through him as if he were made of mist? Can Guts perform magical feats that outclass most mages? And if he can't, does his divine existence make him an amplifier for such things? That would explain why he's so susceptible to the Berserker armor's influence initially, but then is able to keep wearing it for prolonged periods without going through a Berserker outburst. It would also explain why he keeps fighting in conflicts that by all rights should have killed him. Guts was born from death. He survived because of his mother's love and plea, and now he's a free man. Maybe not free in a liberty kind of sense, but free in the sense that his being's truth is out there in the open. For the longest time, Guts resisted himself because he was scared that he would turn out just like Griffith. Hell, he was scared that he'd become worse than Griffith, but as fate would have it, he is Griffith, just not in the way that he thought. Guts isn't a monster like Griffith, but he is a divine entity, so what he spent much of his adult life denying has now become the very thing he must accept in order to move on with his life. He has powers that he never imagined he could possess, and this 3-chapter run that Studio Gaga announced is precisely because that power needs to be demonstrated and accepted by us as well as Guts. With that said, our first prediction for chapter 385 is that the Great Awakening will move from stage 1 to stage 2. Stage 1 was getting Guts to confront his innate divinity and realize that he's always been far more than an unrepentant killer. Stage 2 is going to be about the power-ups that come along with it, and also something Guts needs to address before he can enter stage 3. The final confrontation with the Beast of Darkness. One of the defining features of Guts as a character has been his inner beast of darkness. Guts was never a malicious guy. He was just someone who would fight to the bitter end to survive in a world filled with injustice and evil. His killing only took on a malicious shade after the eclipse when he started killing apostles and other monsters and spirits, not just for revenge, but for satisfaction as well. Skull Knight's warning from the end of the Golden Age arc rang true in most Berserk arcs that featured the Black Swordsman. When a man's path takes him through the darkness, that man must do all he can to protect himself from its influence because darkness engulfs. And during Guts' fight with Rosine, we learned that he'd been engulfed despite Skull Knight's warnings. Rosine was an apostle. Guts had no choice but to kill her. He also didn't have a choice in killing her pseudo-apostles, who turned out to be little kids she'd kidnapped from villages all around the Misty Valley. But that justification alone never sufficed for Guts' guilty conscience, and when he found himself alone in the aftermath of his battle with Rosine, the spirits haunting him melded with his guilt and took the shape of the Beast of Darkness. The Beast is the concentration of all of Guts' negative thoughts, actions, and feelings, his malice given ethereal form within the landscape of his mind. Whenever Guts thinks about taking a safer, saner route on his journey, the Beast tries to pull him towards bloodshed and chaos because that's what it wants him to become, and eventually, the Beast starts whispering in Guts' ears that he needs to get rid of Casca because she's just baggage holding him down. The craziest thing is, Guts nearly gave in to the Beast on one occasion. What stopped him was snapping back to reality. He took on companions to placate its presence, but his acquisition of the Berserker armor only strengthened the Beast. The armor's Ode and Guts' Beast both operate at maximum capacity when he's feeling malicious, and he's constantly keeping himself restrained to spare his friends a grisly death. Eventually, Guts reaches a point where he can fight with the armor on without needing to activate it. That doesn't really help him when Griffith kidnaps Casca and flies away, does it? That's what puts Guts in that near catatonic state to begin with, and it's in that state that the Beast appeared to him the last time we saw it. This happened in the hold of the Seahorse, and the Beast's chains had been snapped in half. It told Guts he was nothing without it, that he needed its power to stand even a chance against Griffith, and that if he gave it his everything, it would give him everything in return. The Beast of Darkness stalked away before the Kushan captured Guts, and you might be thinking, well, how does that matter? This isn't a real beast, it's one that lives in Guts' mind, a mental construct of his malice. So why should we care about the beast or it showing back up again? Why would it even return? Well, the answer's quite simple. Guts is going through a personal transformation, and what do therapists tell addicts they need to do in order to become functioning members of society again? That's right, they tell them they need to slay their demons, otherwise things won't work out for them. And that's exactly what Guts needs to do before he leaves the stupa, because the beast might not be real, but its influence definitely is. Just look at any panel where Guts smiles like a maniac at the prospect of fighting monsters, or read the Fangs of Ego chapter. He might be a divine child, but Guts still thought of himself as a human being when all those things went down. He won't be doing that anymore now that he's enlightened with regards to his own mortality, or lack thereof, and while he's going through this enlightening process of accepting himself fully, the one thing he'll have to defeat before he heads out to fight Griffith is himself. The Beast of Darkness may have assisted Guts when he didn't know himself better, but now that he does, he has no further need for it. Guts only kept the beast alive because he thought that was the source of his strength. During his time as the Black Swordsman, he became reliant on his malice, using it as a tool to hunt monsters and leaving a trail of collateral damage in his wake. He told himself he didn't care how many ants stepped into his path, but he clearly did, otherwise he wouldn't try to help children. Now that he's unlocked his divine powers, he no longer has the need to use hatred and rage to stay on his feet. That doesn't mean those things will just melt away. Just as he confronted his own true nature, so too must he confront his darkness and overcome it, because that's how his transformation will gain legitimacy. Only by slaying the beast can Guts realize that sometimes killing is the only option left, and there's nothing immoral about it when it can save the world. He thinks he's the source of everyone's pain, but he really isn't. Griffith is, and the Beast has been trying to make him more like Griffith for all the wrong reasons. The Beast wanted Guts to kill Casca and would have egged him on to use the Behelit and become an apostle if it hadn't been born from his apostle-hating mind. But Enlightenment Guts wants to save and protect Casca, so they're at an impasse. The Beast told Guts he'd have to give up everything he is in order to defeat Griffith, but Guts has just learned that might not be his only option. If his enlightenment unlocks the divine powers within him, puts him on par with Griffith, then why does he need a mad dog to dictate his every act and emotion? That is his intended direction. Keeping the beast alive will only get in his way. The water spirit that appeared in front of Guts seems to know everything about him, so it's not a stretch of the imagination to think it will know the beast as well. That's why we think Chapter 385 will feature a battle between Guts and his Beast of Darkness, with Guts coming out on top. Once that happens, and his heart is filled with light and resolve, Guts is going to step out of the stupa and show Daiba that even his spells couldn't have predicted such an outcome. And when they're both aligned on Griffith being the main enemy of humankind, that's when Berserk's endgame will truly begin. Conclusion. As for our predictions, we know 2 is a small number, but chapters 384 through 386 feel like they're going to focus entirely on Guts' transformation, and we think calling the next step in that transformation isn't a bad thing. What would be a bad thing is forgetting to ask what you guys think is going to happen next, because at the end of the day, our predictions are based on our thoughts and opinions about Berserk. Yours are just as valid, and we'd love to hear them, so let us know in the comments down below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more Berserk content. We'll see you guys soon with yet another video, so until then, stay safe out there, and as always, keep on struggling, strugglers.
Yeah, shout out to Wizard Weaves, man. Hey, for this, dude. Oh, yeah, and you shall get my take. Yes. Oh, dude, I thought this was awesome. Yes, it's totally a game changer. And then again, I'm like, to be honest, I kind of like figured that already, that it was gonna have to come to that, because that's with a lot of your usual, even to the unusual, unconventional type of protagonists, you know, that we may or may not be as used to, but where they have to find like this, their true self, basically like the light within them, the light of hope within them, to continue to soldier on, and to see that they don't have to fall into despair of darkness. And that's what it is with Guts, that is what happened with Guts is the fact that, oh man, my cord, uh, is that, yeah, like he was in the stupor. He was just in such great despair. He was basically just trying to. He was on the verge of giving up totally. Yeah, along to the beast of darkness, he was just totally just willing to give up and just end it. You know, so that was the conclusion he was coming to because he didn't want to turn to the beast of darkness and then start or let the beast of darkness totally consume him and then go on a rampage and just start taking out people, consuming people, especially, including Casca. But with him, oh man, like, oh dude, because I was kind of assuming, that he was, you know, in human form when his mother uh, gave birth to him while she hung from a tree. I didn't know that he basically died, but was died, for just a little bit for some moments until the deity, the god of Berserk, the god of light, the god of the force of good in the story of Berserk, have given her or granted her wish, you know, her her last wish, her her selfless her selfless last wish, was for her son, so the mother's because of his mother's love, he was given another chance. But you see, then that's where when you see Gambino, I mean when Gambino and I think her name was Shizu, yeah, the woman who was his adopted mother, before she ended up dying. But yeah, he was in his in a human form, and it was crazy to see how he basically, as an infant, that his original initial state was in the same form as the Moonlight Boys. So that's basically telling me, okay, that's how it looks when going against the laws of causality of Berserk, of the laws of Berserk. That's how an infant body will look when it is, you know, part uh, part earthly, part interstice. So he is a child of the interstice, of the interstice. So therefore, he is a whole miracle baby. But within that miracle, though, to give him the chance to live, did did the god of Berserk, did the god of Berserk, the good god of Berserk, did he send one of his angels to possess the body of Guts, or just angel or some kind of like high ranking spirit? It was of a holy nature, that in which all the time has been within him. It has been combating with the darkness that's within him, that is within him, that's from his earthly side. Now, and and Guts merging with his other half, with his infant self, as they cried at the same time. Hmm. That basically was him merging with his astral form, hmm, thus giving him this power upgrade now. Like, okay, he emerged uh, from the flower cocoon within the stupa, and Daiba's there. So is Daiba going to be the one of the ones to show him how to navigate his newfound powers, or is it going to be Farnasayer? So yeah, and I'm kind of curious about that one. And with him choosing now to stay on the side of light and the righteous, and being the holy side, staying on the side of staying and fighting on the side of what's good, choosing that side, which is therefore the opposite of despair. Hope, joy, to fight with a righteous heart against the darkness that is before him. So, first stage that has passed of him basically merging after finding his true self, seeing his true nature of what he actually is, and faced all the flashback horrors that he's faced. Now, the second stage, the power ups, to see, okay, how his newfound powers, his powers of light, of the good god of Berserk, not the evil god, the idea of evil. So will he give him? Will the god of Berserk give him, or that water spirit? Will that, or has that water spirit given him such powers to where it will override completely the function of the brand, the hell brand that Void tagged him on with when he was in the astral world, entrapped in the realm of where the God hand is. Yeah. So will his new powers override that? Like, oh my God, that would be so awesome. I believe that would be a great relief for Guts, to where he may say, hey, he may be able to get like a few peaceful peaceful nights of sleep before engaging in any kind of serious battle. I would not blame my boy. I would not blame him. But yeah. So will it override it to it, therefore, which will end the all the demons and evil spirits and the apostles' tracking system for Guts? Like, will that cut that off, or will he still have to worry about them hunting him to some degree? Like, will they still be coming after him, but having to, but they will have to put in a little bit more work in order for them to find Guts because they don't have that brand to track anymore. And I think that explains also Slant's obsession with Guts because she was able to see that part of him that was of the astral world. And yeah, the third, as our boy Weezy said, yeah, and he makes a great point. He's gonna have to confront, that beast of darkness within him, which I believe was on was on I would say was kind of blocked from making contact with Guts while Guts was within the stupa. As soon as he went in within the stupa, like because if so, if he was able to, don't you think the Beast of Darkness would have tried to go in there and try to intervene between him and his discussion with the Water Spirit, which could have been, you know, yeah, that's what I thought it was with Fiona after she turned into what they call a daemon. If it's not her, then it has to be someone that is, or an astral spirit that is akin to her to some degree. But when I believe that it may be possible the Guts may run into like a like a whole blitz surprise attack by the Beast of Darkness when he comes out of the stupor to try to reel him back into into despair, to giving in, to giving it to him, and to just totally submit to him. But and like you said, yeah, also with these newfound powers, you know, what the hell use did he did you know what the hell use will what a whole mangy ass mutt would do? Like, it's no good, you know, because this new power, which is a power of itself life, he's gonna see and he's gonna come to that realization quickly to see to in his defeat of the beast of darkness where he's gonna come out on top. He's gonna see that life, life, goodness, and righteousness trumps darkness. So therefore, which will make it easy for him to defeat his beast of darkness. So I can see the Jesus comparison that he was making. You can see, yeah, that he is somewhat kind of like, a Jesus version of Berserk to a degree, but nah, not really. So yeah, because Guts he's done some shit. So yeah, but a lot of which what happened and what he's blaming himself for is not on him. And he's seen within the stupor It wasn't his fault. That these things were destined to happen. That they were going to happen regardless of his being there or not. And the whole Griffith being one and the same as Guts, they're they're one and the same. So yeah, well, I'm like, well, okay, thinking like, huh. Well, it shows that they are to some degree because they have their astral spirit show like a flame kind of like image. It was flaming. And then I'm like, one the same. I mean, maybe to some small margin, but can you say that in its entirety? Which they gotta reveal later on, probably hopefully within the next couple of chapters. Because Guts, yeah, he never really sacrificed others for his, to obtain his a dream. He found that hey, he could, he found home within, the Band of the Hawks, whatever, until that speech that Griffith gave, to the princess of Midland, of the kingdom of Midland. That Guts, eavesdropped on with Casca, and so it was revealed to him that hey, Guts, seeing it, okay, so for me to become, just to be shown that I'm your, a true friend of yours, then I gotta go aim, to search for myself, to see what my dream is, or what I want to aim for. So I'm gonna go out, on my own for a while. So yeah, but no, um, Guts never. Yeah, there's things that Griffith did, like sleep, like messing around, sleeping with that one dude, you know, yeah, to gain some power, for and some resources for his army, for the Band of the Hawk. And I'm like, okay, yeah, there's a better way. So yeah, better ways to obtain that. But so yeah, he never Guts never sold himself like Griffith has. So I don't see how they're really the one and the same. But like I said, maybe on a small margin, But hey, and yeah, and so his mom, man, I'm like, wow, that's one of the ultimate forms of love right there, you know. So I'm like, okay, so now I'm wondering, though maybe a little significant to some degree, if they was to come and tell us that hey, the Guts was when he came out of his mother's womb, of him being dead, until his mother's wish to this mysterious deity, which is uh, presumably to be the good god of Berserk. So she may have told the deity may have told her, "Hey, he's gonna live, but he's gonna face some trials. So it's gonna be up to him, to your son, to find the true path he must take. That, that he's gonna either choose the path of darkness or the path of light." mother was like, I don't care, please, just please bless for my son to live. And the deity did it. So I'm questioning, okay, how long was she praying and pleading to the deity for, for Guts to live? But anyway, not really that important, but it would be cool to know. Um, yeah, so that I'm very curious, and I'm wondering if the God Hand, how they're gonna show them catching you wind, the news of Berserk's new, of his transformation, and I'm wondering will these new powers grant him his arm back, like give him his actual arm back, Hmm. and will he need or will he not need the powers and capability of the Berserk armor? Or will these newfound powers cause him to be able to transform the Berserk armor for it to greatly enhance his powers and to work in his benefit, to operate in the exact opposite function of its original state, which it was literally like eating away like at his life force. Every time he went into battle and he gets injured and the berserker armor, just straightens his body back out, keep him in the fight basically. So I'm curious about that. And because he was fighting for years before, coming up on the berserker armor. So will it come to be a thing where where he'll end up saying, where Guts will end up saying, "Oh, I don't think I'll need the berserker armor, but I could use the berserker armor to help me further in the fight." So, and what kind of shock and awe will the Skull Knight give when he uh, comes to the realization of Guts' new self? Skull Knight and the rest of the game. And I'm wondering how long will it take for him to get hip to new powers, these new powers of high enlightenment. How long will it take for him to get used to it, and then how long will it take for him to get used to it, and then end up going to the battlefield, to start his hunt for Casca. But I'm believing with this new enlightenment that he's received, that he came into now, I'm wondering, okay, will he aim to go for her and aim to take out Griffith, or will he see in the truest sense and how he should now look at it that yeah, the taking out Griffith would, you know, be the defeat of Falconia. Will his but as it should be, will will his new enlightenment take him to view it as okay that he must take out all of the darkness, the evil within the land, instead of just Griffith, or take out all the evil in the land by focusing on the main demonic key players. So yeah, that's what I have. That's all I have for this one, and I don't know how long it's going to take for them to come out with the next one, the next chapter, chapter 385. I think probably like yeah, hopefully they're coming out with once a month, I believe. Yeah, so hopefully they'll come out with it next month. But yeah, but thank you guys. Thank you guys for listening. I dropped the link in there for anybody to come up, but nobody came up. So yeah, so peace and blessings, you guys, and peace out. Hope you guys have a blessed night, and uh, and yeah, we'll be doing more of these reviews within the Geekverse as we will come with more news relating to everything that's geekdom, and and yeah, so and I'm working on our anime stream, which will be coming up here soon. Give me time for that. And yeah, so leave a like, share, subscribe, follow the Rumble. Link should be there in the description, as well as the Cash App. Bless the Alma Force with whatever you can, and I will make sure to shout you out by the next stream. All right. So I'm not your fan. I'm not your stan. For I am brother. Shigare Hanma, one verse a million. I am out. Peace.